Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today and Ask Me Anything for yet another week, a special late night edition. Yeah, we're not usually streaming this late in the day for me, afternoon or evening for you, and for my folks in the UK and Europe, I apologise. It is the middle of the night, but I hope you are doing well wherever you are in the world on this wonderful globe of ours. And we're going to answer some questions here today. We've got a lot of stuff to get through. I got a bunch of stuff to tell you about as well. So if there's a shortage of questions, don't worry. We're probably going to be here for an hour to 2 hours because I got plenty of stuff to go on with. But we're going to start by jumping into the question because our friend Greg Hernandez is going to show you how it's done. Here's what you do. Got a question? You throw the word question in front of it. Oh, that's some weird effect there. I think I've got auto white balance on here, so when I get my hands up, it does some weird things. Should probably adjust that. That's okay. We'll go with it. Ahoy. Ahoy there, Greg. What are your dream features of an iPad Pro 2021? What a good question. So I bought an iPad Pro 2020 last year after doing a lot of research and soul searching and trying to work out if it was going to be the right thing for me, and it ended up that it was. The reason I wanted it is I was using an old iPad Air 2 for most of my production. It was good, but not great. So it didn't really cut the mustard when it came to doing like multi-effects, multi-tracks, lots of different apps and things. I ended up getting the iPad Pro 2020, 512 gigabytes of memory of storage space on that thing. It's got 6 gigabytes of RAM. It kind of just crushes everything, and I've not regretted it for a day. So I've got plenty of space. I can do my video editing. I can do my audio production on there. I can run as many apps as I want to. I kind of haven't been able to make this thing crash or go bad in that entire time. Now, in terms of what do I hope that they'll do next, I mean, apart from remove Face ID, because I'm still not a huge fan, there's not much that I think that they can do here. USB-C is the connectivity, and I like that. My dream thing would be to have multiple USB-C connections. So one of the challenges with the iPad Pro at the moment is you've only got that one USB-C port. So for myself, I run a USB-C to USB-A converter that also has a USB-C power port there. I then plug that into a powered USB hub, and then I plug things like my audio interface and any other gear into the hub. So it's a little bit clunky. In a perfect world, you know what would be cool? If you had, say, 3 or 4 USB-C ports. Now, I know I'm in dreamland. Apple are probably not going to put multiple ports on an iPad anytime soon, but that, in terms of my dream features, having all of those ports on there so that I could just plug my interface into one, I could plug whatever gear I wanted to, I could just plug in there and it would just go. So, yeah, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. The rumor is that they're actually going to discontinue the 11-inch model, that most people go for the 12.9 inch. Now, I must admit, when I bought mine, I did go the 11 inch. I did consider the 12.9, but it seemed a bit too big. That's probably my only, not even regret, but mini regret, is that I probably would have gone the larger one. So I guess maybe if they were going to change something, maybe up it to a 12 inch, give you a little bit more real estate on the smaller version, and then maybe for the larger one, go bigger. So everything else is getting bigger. Your phones are now 6.1 or 6.7 inches. Why not a 13 or a 14-inch iPad Pro? How cool for a creator with a 14-inch touchscreen iPad Pro be? So they're probably the things in my dream features. I think they could up the screen real estate and the screen size a little bit, and that they could add some more ports. Processing power, it crushes. The RAM, 6 gigabytes is pretty good. 10, 12 would be better, but 6 gigabytes seems to do a lot well. So what do you reckon? What are you hoping to see on a new iPad Pro? Or your iPhones or your iPads, whatever? Are there any items that you would love to see? Let us know there. This show here today, thank you for your question, Greg. This show here today is brought to you by me over at Patreon. You can go to Pete Johns at patreon.com/PeteJohns, and you can get some bonus content and some exclusive live streams, like a live stream that we had just yesterday that was a whole lot of fun. Here's the thing. Our friend Jo Glenn, who is one of the patrons, and I think she's here on the chat, I think I saw her name pop up before, asked a question and had some frustrations because she was trying to release a song, speaking of the iPad Pro, using DistroKid on her iPad Pro. Well, we slaved away for close to an hour on this one, trying to get it to work, trying all the different combinations on the iPad until we got it to work. And yes, I can announce here and now that we did have success. Using just an iPad, we were able to release a song using DistroKid. Now, yes, this should be easier than it is. Hopefully in the future, and in fact, I know for a fact that DistroKid are working on a mobile app. They're working on the ability to use mobile browsers to upload. But at this stage, what we needed to do was use the desktop version of Safari, upload the album artwork from the camera roll directly, and then have our audio file as a WAV file on my iPad location. Using those three key things, after lots of trial and error, we were able to actually get the release done. And just to give you a little bit of a highlight, here's the joy that I had. So I'm going to play you a little replay of the last little bit here. I'm not sure if I swear in this, but when the live streams on Patreon, especially when I get a bit excited, are potentially a little more MA15 as opposed to the PG13 we have around here. So let's jump over. I'll share my screen like so, and then we'll take a look at what happened just yesterday over on the Patreon live stream. Should we do that? Should we do that as a one final thing here? Should we just go into DistroKid on the PC here and download the file and see if it comes down? And what it comes down as is if it's got audio in it. Let's give it a crack. Because it can't do any damage by just downloading it from here, because that's no connection to anything. Ah, it's the wave. It's the freaking wave. That was a bit exciting. Hang on, let's play it. I mean, it's getting much harder. Yeah. Yes, Bubba. This episode is sponsored by DistroKid. You know what? I don't begrudge DistroKid, and I still don't. I still don't begrudge DistroKid because it is a hard thing running a distributor and being able to actually do all these features. So the good news is, though, that after the trial and error, we got the ability to actually release. So we're able to actually get that out there. And the good news, the even better news is it's already out. So it has already been released here. So if you're not familiar with Songwhip, Songwhip. If you use songwhip.com, you can actually set up a link that goes to all the different places. And this gets updated. So you'll see here it's not on Spotify yet. That's the final test to make sure it hits Spotify. But it's already available on Apple Music, YouTube, Tidal, SoundCloud, YouTube Music, Deezer, and able to be bought on iTunes. So that is pretty cool. I'll throw this in the link here right now if you do want to go and take a listen to the song and throw it in your playlists and have a listen. It's pretty cool. My wife did vocals on it with me, and it's called Spy from a Distance. Yes, it is a James Bond inspired tune about a physically distant world and how you could be a spy. So I just wanted to share that little story with you and say a big thank you to the folks over on Patreon for helping out and for being part of that. And again, if you do want to join the Patreon community and enjoy live streams like that and help me troubleshoot things like releasing using mobile, then jump on over patreon.com/PeteJohns. And thank you to our most recent, I've forgotten her name. I'll come back to that, but we just had someone who's just signed up to Patreon right before the show, and I've forgotten your name. So I will jump in and have a look at that. But for now, let's jump down and see if we have any question here. We'll scroll back because I've missed a bunch of stuff there. Yeah, Tom says that this was like witnessing the first man on the moon. One small step for Pete, one giant leap for creator kind. It totally was like that, wasn't it? It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I do swear like a sailor once every blue moon. Occasionally. I'm just going to scroll back up and just see if I didn't miss any questions that came in here. Question from Clayton Con Village. Sorry, Village? Where did I get Village from? Clayton Von Cluj says, question, is it worth to get an Apple laptop for doing anything a little more professional, or will iPads cover it pretty well? It's a really good question, and in fact, it's a good segue. I'm doing so much cross-promotion here today, but I do want to mention this because yesterday I was on a video over on Mike Enjo, who has the Creative Source channel. It was myself, it was Ed Thorne, and Marlon from White Noise Studio, and we answered some of the big questions. So if you're not already subscribed, jump on over here, subscribe to Creative Source. Why am I not subscribed? I swear I was subscribed to your channel, Mike. I don't know how I'm not subscribed. Anyway, jump over to Creative Source and subscribe to that one, because one of the questions in that, and I do have a point to all this, one of the questions in the big questions video that we had there was, what is better, Mac or PC? And of course, me being the cheeky bugger that I am, I held up my iPad and said, this is better. And for me, I think, for me and for my workflow, I love iOS, and that's no surprise. Yeah, I use my iPhone, I use my iPad. I love me some iOS because I just find the portability of it, and we've got to the point now where the audio quality is the same. I say this a lot. It comes down to your workflow. So whether you want a laptop, a desktop, or a portable tablet, or even a phone, is around your workflow. For some people, they will think the workflow of having to do things on their phone or tablet is annoying because they want a full-size keyboard, they want a mouse, they want a nice 30-inch monitor. That's cool. So it's more about how you actually create than the actual quality that you're actually getting out of it. So that's probably the first thing I'd say there, because remember, it's all ones and zeros. Once you plug in your audio interface, your microphones, your MIDI keyboards, your guitars, once they're actually plugged in, then it's all just recording. And if you get everything set at 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, or 48K, or 96K, we did talk about that too. We talked about sampling rate last night. And yeah, the jury's still out on that, but yeah, you can tune in and find out what we had to say. But in terms of this, I think if you go a little more professional, it's not really the right language. I would say a little bit more flexible in terms of if you want to use a keyboard, mouse, and large screen, then yes, that's easier. But don't forget that we actually have the ability, through the technology that we have these days. I mean, my iPad is there. Like, there's my iPad right here. It is on my large screen. It's sitting here on my 24-inch monitor, and I can use this through my Mac. And even if I wasn't using a Mac, I could plug it in via HDMI and just plug straight out from my iPad. So, yeah, I think the one thing I have noticed about the Mac and having a Mac here is that the desktop environment is better for multitasking. So could I do this live stream using just iPhones and iPads? Maybe. Is it easier having dual monitors here on my webcam and all of the different apps that I can bring in and bring out? Yes. So for me, for workflow, for live streaming, a PC or a Mac is better. For music creation, however, I kind of like the freedom and flexibility of an iPhone or iPad. So I know that doesn't really answer the question. You're going to hear this a lot. A lot of it is it depends. So get ready for a lot of it depends. A couple more questions here. Is it possible to put a track from GarageBand into another DAW? Yes, Corinthia, it is. So there's a couple of ways. If you're going into GarageBand Mac or Logic, you can actually export the project from GarageBand and you can import that in and it will be compatible with the other software. If you're going into Pro Tools or Reaper or something like that, you will have to actually export stems. And stems just means each individual track. So for instance, I'll bring up my track here. This is the one we were working on yesterday. This is Spy from a Distance. If I wanted to grab all these tracks, so say I wanted to export all these guitar tracks individually, all the vocal tracks, all the strings and everything individually, what would I have to do? Well, I'd have to actually export them individually. Yeah, this is the problem. The only way to export stems here in GarageBand is to solo the track, then go out of your project, and then share this. So what we'd then do with that single track soloed, we'd select it like this, we would share, and then you'd share that as a song. And you'd share it as an uncompressed WAV file. You can then save all your different tracks, each individual track as an individual WAV file, and then put those on Google Drive or Dropbox, send the link to the other person, they download them, they put them back into their DAW, and you're good to go. I do have a video all about this. If you search my name, Pete Johns Stems, STEMS, you'll get straight to that video. So yeah, it's a bit of a hassle because yeah, if you want this one guitar sound, let's just take a listen. This is our clean guitar on this one. You can hear it's over there on the left. Our other guitar. So yeah, and if you wanted to, if you say you didn't want each individual track, you can group your tracks. So say you wanted to, instead of sending everything, you're happy with the mix on, say, all your guitars, you could actually go all your guitars, export all of those, and then export all your vocals, and then export. So stems don't have to mean individual tracks, like one track. Stems can actually be, you can stem out your guitars, you can stem out your backing vocals, you can stem out your strings, your keys. So depending what level you want the other person to be able to mix, then that's what you'd need to do there. So hopefully that helps you out. But yes, it is definitely possible to put a track from GarageBand into another DAW using that. Rick Zord says, "Hi Pete, my aim is to record electric guitar and mix it on in PC Windows. However, my only microphone is the built-in microphone of my iPhone 7. Is there any way of doing this?" Let me just reread that. My aim is to record electric guitar and mix it on PC, only microphone. So yeah, absolutely. So I did a video really early on. I probably should do a refresh of this where I showed how to record with no gear. Now, the key to recording with no gear on an iPhone or an iPad is to have a pair of headphones that don't have a microphone. So a pair of headphones like these are my Sennheiser HD 280 Pros. They're like a $100 headphone, but you could literally get a pair of like $5 or $10 earbuds from eBay or Amazon and plug those in. The reason I say without a microphone is if you plug in a pair of headphones with a microphone, it'll use that microphone to record. Now, that's not bad. In fact, some headphones have quite decent microphones. I've recorded backing vocals on songs just using the microphone on my headset. But these days, you tend to find your iPhones and iPads have better built-in microphones than anything on any headset. So what you want is a pair of headphones that don't have a microphone. That means it will default to the internal microphone. You record your guitar into your phone or your iPad, and then you do exactly what I said in the last question, which is you export it as a WAV file, you import it into your PC, and you go ahead and mix. So it's actually a good way to go because your laptop or your desktop PC, that's not going to have a good mic. The microphones in your iPhone or iPad are significantly better, in my experience, than any PC or Mac internal microphone. So unless you're going to go get a USB microphone or get an audio interface and record through that, which is what you'd probably want to do eventually, then that is a good sort of happy medium to go with until you do that. And if you are looking to set yourself up with a home studio, I did a video recently. Let me just see if I can find it. It was my studio gear video. I showed 2 very simple studio gear setups. So let's go. Pete John's studio setup should get me there. It's the second one for some reason. So you've got the 2020 version there, but I would, of course, watch the 2021 version. So that was just a week ago, and we went through 2 different setups that I have for home recording. One of those is just using an iRig, so a really simple setup for your mobile device. And the second one is if you want a full USB-based recording studio setup. So jump over and check those out. And if you do want to buy the gear, if you want to help out the channel, you can go to studiolivetoday.com/gear. That is a bunch of links to the gear that I use. Those are affiliate links, meaning if you make a purchase, they break off a chunk and send it my way. So keep that in mind as well. But thank you for your question. We will go back and I'll see if we can scroll down delicately. Yes, thank you, Blue Sir. I appreciate it. Yes, if you'd like to become a patron, you can do that. Question from Nerf Planet, Captain Planet. He's our hero. No, anyway, that's a bit old school. Anyone remember Captain Planet? He's our hero. I hear he's going to take pollution down to 0. That's the word on the street. What does the follow button do on the drummer tracks? Let's have a look, shall we? So the drummer follow up option is actually super cool. What I'm going to do is we'll make another copy of this one so I don't mess around with my original project. And let's play around with drummer, because I reckon, did I use drummer on this track? No, I used actual drums. Down here. Jade Star probably played them. She plays drums on most of the songs that I do. So we're going to mute out these drums and let's bring a drummer track in. So this is my song, Spy From a Distance. It's my most recently released song, and let's just take a listen. It's getting much harder. So here it is without any drums yet. So we've muted out our drums there. Let's add a drummer track and we'll show you what the follow option does here, because it's actually super cool if you've never played with it. We're going to go to drummer. We'll add a drummer. Who's going to do our thing? I mean, Kyle's the obvious choice for everything, but maybe we'll go someone like Darcy. I don't use Darcy very much. This is more of a pop kind of song. So let's grab Darcy and let's see what Darcy's going to do by default on this track. Right? Not bad. Now, if you haven't used drummer before, you can come in here. There's a bunch of presets. You can tweak the percussion, the hi-hat, the kick and snare. You can turn on and off different kit pieces by tapping on them here, which is cool. You can tell it how many fills you want or don't want, and you can make it either simple or complex and soft or loud. So there's a bunch of options you have there, but you've noticed you've got this little follow button down here, yeah? Pretty cool, because what we can do is if we turn that one on, we can now actually follow any of our other tracks. So see our kick and snare here at the moment says don't follow. If we tap on that, we can now choose a track for it to follow. Now, the best track for a drum to follow is usually a bass. So let's grab our bass track here. There you go. What it's going to do is going to go and build a profile of that bass track, and now it's going to have adjusted our drums so that the kick and snare actually follow the bass. Let's go back and take a listen to the bass just so that you can hear how this works in reality. So we'll turn this one on. So our bass is doing this kind of business, yeah? We'll turn that up just so we can hear it in the mix. Right, so there's your bass. Now, if we bring the drummer in to this business, take a listen to what Darcy's doing. Right? Hear how that kick, 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 kick. Now, of course, your bass is the most logical one too, but say you had your guitars. So this is one of our rhythm guitars here. So say we wanted it to actually sync up with this. So here that's going to have slightly different pattern, right? This is going to be a different pattern. So now we'll go back to Darcy and we'll go back to the drummer options here. And now with our follow option, instead of using this one, the bass, let's come up and use the sparkling clean. Now it's going to redo that. What it's doing, it's actually it's pretty cool. It's reading the profile of that waveform because it doesn't have to be a virtual instrument. As you saw, you can use virtual instruments or you can use these instruments. It's read that and it's ready to go. So let's take a listen now. Hear how there's a heap more kick drums in there? It's because every time I'm doing the do-do-do-doing, every time I'm doing those guitar picks, it's trying to add another kick drum to the guitar pick. So it doesn't sound as cool, yeah, because you generally want it to follow your bass. You can do it. The other cool thing is, even if you're using like virtual instruments, so those are actual recorded ones. So originally, I actually had this bass in here. Before I recorded the actual bass guitar, I just had a virtual instrument. So there was my original bass, and if we make Darcy follow that original bass, check it out. It's pretty cool. We'll come here, tap it. Liverpool, there you go. All right, Darcy, do your thing. Right? It's probably one of the most underused and misunderstood feature, but it's actually kind of one of the coolest features here in Garageband. If you are programming drums and they're not sounding right, they're not fitting the beat, then grab your bass, grab your guitar, even grab your vocal or whatever instrument you want, and then attach it to your drums. Use that follow feature and attach it to your drums. You're going to get yourself a pretty cool sound. Hopefully that helped answer your question. Nerf Planet, he's our hero. Thank you for your question. Let's move on from there because we got lots of folks with lots of questions here. I'm just going to scroll on down. If I do miss your question, wait 5 or 10 minutes and then ask it again because, yeah, I do get caught up. I don't use the forms or anything difficult in this show. I basically just let you throw your question here and I scroll down and I try and find it. So it's scrolling on down and looking for more questions. I see it just jumped straight down to the bottom. It does that from time to time. Samantha Edge, hello to you. The drummer thing is seriously cool. Mind blown as someone who's never used GarageBand. There you go. Samantha hasn't used GarageBand and blowing her mind using stuff like that. And I hope you're doing well, Sam. I hope they're busking around the city. Good busking weather at the moment, and hopefully your busking is incident free and you're doing well out there. I still haven't done it. Sam, I was asking Sam a few weeks back for some advice on busking. She gave me a bunch of good advice. Still haven't taken it. Right, still got to take it. A question from Nerf Planet again. Oh, a double header. How do you make a vinyl noise with synthesizers? So what I'll do instead of actually showing you this time, I'm going to point you to a video. Yeah, I do cheat a lot. I do point you to videos instead of actually answering questions because I've actually covered it. There is a way to do this. I'm going to search my name, Pete Johnson Vinyl, and we're going to come over here and we have this one, the vinyl record effect in GarageBand iOS. So there's a particular, I forget which one it is, but it's covered in the video. There's a particular synth in Alchemy Synth in GarageBand that actually has a record scratch and a vinyl noise that actually goes along with it. So you can add that in there. The other cool thing is the, now what is it called? It's called LP. LP? I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll have to jump over into GarageBand to do this. Hang on a moment. I'll jump into GarageBand instead and find it, because there's also, is it DAW LP? Is that the name of it? There's DAW LP, which is a very cool vinyl effect. So why don't we play with it while we've got this one up here? We'll get the vinyl effect on this harmonics of this guitar. So let's bring this in here. So if we've got any sound like this, and we want some record crackle on there, then a very cool app is this one here. If we come into Edit and add it in, pretty sure it's called DAW LP. There, oh, that's Clevegrand. So Clevegrand is DAW LP, and that is actually a paid app. So yes, so this one's a paid app. There is Tape Cassette, which is the one I was trying to talk about, or trying to think of. So if you want a cassette noise, so if you don't care about what sort of noise you want to go cassette instead of record, you can use Tape Cassette 2, which is a free plugin from Calum Audio, who are very, very cool people. But the DAW LP, try it again. The DAW LP up here from Clevegrand is actually super cool. Check out your options you get in here. Yeah, you can come in here and you can customize this and you can set it. You can add your amp noise, you can add your vinyl noise, you got scratches, and you got hum. And you can actually change it, your needle quality. Let's do a little bit of playing with this, shall we? Because it's kind of fun. So we play this again. Oh, geez. Always great when you press the button and it just completely craps itself. Not a great advertisement for a Clevegrand app there. There it is. All right, let's turn it back on, but let's turn it down a bit. We might have had everything up too loud. So we'll turn it back down again, and then we'll turn it back on and see if it's still working. No. What am I doing wrong here? Is my gain up? My output gain? Ordinarily, this gives you a nice, cool record vinyl crackle sound. But apparently, right now, ain't doing that. Turn it off. No, it's cutting it off. Okay, so there may be a bug report to do. Maybe don't rush out and buy DAW LP right now. In the past, it has been very cool and it has worked really well. So, yeah, apologize for that one. But you can use that other one. So check out the other version. Use that Alchemy synth that has the crackle built in. And what you can do, just put it on, but without playing any sound, you can just basically generate crackle and vinyl scratches without actually even worrying about what sound is going on there. I'm just going to remove this because it's going to probably crash the song file if I keep trying to use it. But thank you for your question. Amaracia had a question and now forgot what it was. It seems to be the case. Everyone's asking, everyone's saying, I had a question and now I've forgotten it. Let's go. Clayton Con Village. Village. I keep saying Village. Question here. Is it possible to use the metronome or quantization with drums recorded to GarageBand from a third-party source? No-ish. So, here's the thing. GarageBand has two ways to record things from a third-party source. You can record things using something called inter-app audio, or you can record using something called AUV3, or an Audio Unit version 3 plugin. So, for instance, we have the iSymphonic sounds here, which I'm using for my strings in this track. So if we come in here and play this, there's that nice iSymphonic sound there that's on our track. Now this one here, if we go into here, you'll see that little symbol means this is an AUV3 plugin. So what it's doing, turn that off for a sec, what it's doing is it's actually grabbing this legato orchestra from the app and it's actually playing it within here. It's embedding it into here. Now the other way to do this is inter-app audio. Now inter-app audio actually records the sound of the other app into GarageBand, and that will generate something more like what my guitars are up here. It will generate this sort of sound, a waveform. So once it's recorded, it's in here as an audio file. Once you record with AUV3, the benefit is that it records in here as a MIDI file. Now the good thing about MIDI files is you can quantize them. So if we go up to our mixer icon here and we go to plugins and EQ, wrong one. If we go into our track settings, then we can use quantization. So we can turn quantization on. And if we zoom in on this one, you can see that we've got all of our notes there. If we quantize these, straight quantization, and say we quantize them right down to a quarter note, it will put them right on the quarter notes. Now, they already kind of were quarter notes there, but you can also use like triplets and swing and all sorts of things. Where's one that's going to actually show? This one's going to be better. So see how we've got a bunch of notes there that are actually like 8th notes and 16th notes. We can go straight quantization. If we go 8th note or quarter note, is that changing those? Maybe it's just not changing them because they're all just such slow notes. Oh yeah, it's popped them. Yeah, so see how it's putting the start of those notes right on because we've quantized them. If we come out here, or maybe I'd already quantized, that may be the other problem. Maybe why it's not showing up as quantization. If we take the quantization off and we go back into that same edit, we should see that they're a little bit more freeform without the quantization. Yeah, see? So see how this one started slightly before the 20, this one started. So quantization will line up your stuff on the grid, but it means that you don't get some of that natural feel. With something like strings, you probably want something that goes between the different things there. So hopefully that helps answer the question. So the short version is anything that's a virtual instrument that's in a green MIDI track here in GarageBand, quantizable and able to be lined up on the grid. Anything that is a blue track here is actual audio and it's not able, at least in GarageBand iOS, to be quantized or put on the grid. So hopefully that answers your question and will help you out with your quantization in the future. We've answered that one. I'm going to scroll down and try my luck here. And again, I'm probably going to miss a bunch of stuff. So I might have to declare bankruptcy and go to the bottom of the chat and then ask that. Then ask you to ask your question again. Greg Hernandez, who kicked us off here today, I'll throw the question there and have a drink. Is that a PV amp, a Backstage Plus by chance? My first amp. That one, the PV amp, it's actually a Rage. It's a Rage 158, my friend. And yes, it was my first amp was that one. So it's, I found it in the shed. It's a bit rusty. You can't sort of see the condition from here, but I thought I'm just going to put it for a bit of background there because I don't use guitar amps anymore. Everything I do on guitars is using a virtual amp sim. Actually, the one guitar amp I use is, oh, it's gone. I had it on the couch there, but it's down there now. My Roland Cube Street EX, which I need to put to use by getting on the street and doing some busking. Sam, keep me honest. Make me do it. You need to send me a message once a week saying, "When are you busking, Pete? When are you busking, Pete? When are you busking, Pete?" Right. Thank you, Amaris. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a fun little song. We wrote it in about May, June last year, and my wife and I wrote it together. She helped me out with the vocals and obviously sang on the song. And we didn't release it till now because I kind of wrote it as a bit of a fun piss take. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if you had to spy during these couple of months that we're having this global thing? Cut to a year later, just as relevant. So there you go. Sion, am I early? No, you're very, very late. Please report straight to the principal's office right away. All right, let's continue on, and we'll see if we've got any other questions that have come in. Who else is picturing Darcy from the MCU? Not me, because I don't know what that means. Sometimes things just go way over my head. Thank you, Mauricio Rogers. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Will that work if you play a live external bass? Do you mean the drum thing? Yes, drum follow does work with any live instruments, if that's what we're talking about. Yep, totally. Is Darcy new? Nope, she's one of the OG. Well, she was on the songwriter pack, actually, so she's been in GarageBand for about 2 years. So she's been around a while. She's not the total OG, but she has been around for a little while. I'm way behind here. We'll have to do some quick fire things. Benjamin Moya says, do you know if you input Bias FX into GarageBand, you can actually make a record with Bias FX tone that will be copyright? Generally not. Almost anything that allows you to record, because otherwise, why would they do that? Why would Bias or why would Positive Grid create a plugin that if you use their plugin, you can never sell your music? So no, generally tone generators, amp simulators, synthesizers, any sound that's created, most of those create those with the knowing that they're going to actually, that they're going to release that. So no, you won't have any problem. Drummer is the most fun thing ever. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I know that it gets a bit of a bad name because sometimes it sounds a bit samey, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. Amarathea used that trick in the video to create the feel of a fire crackling. Yeah, there you go. So you can use that little scratching thing. Yeah, it can be good. Pro Tools mess with me too. Yeah, Pro Tools did mess with me. I don't do anything with Pro Tools because it breaks my brain. We're talking about bacon. Russ, g'day. Did you listen to more albums in full on cassette, vinyl, or digital? Did you listen to more albums in full on cassette, vinyl, or digital? What a great question, Russ. I'm gonna ponder this one. Thanks for the carrots. So, yeah, overall, so if we're going with cassette, vinyl, or digital, it would be cassette. I was a little bit late for vinyl in its fullest. My folks and my brother and sister had a lot more vinyl and played a lot more records. For me, my first real thing, I did have a record player on my first stereo, but it was mostly tapes. So it was sort of mid to late 80s, and cassettes were ruling everything. And then it was CDs, and by far the most full albums I've listened to have been on CDs. As a angsty teen and early 20s man, I would just sit and spin the same 10 CDs. Radiohead's OK Computer, Nirvana's Nevermind, Pearl Jam's 10 and Verses, Green Day's Dookie, The Offspring's Smash, over and over and over again. So, yeah, I would say CDs is that. I also wish we had colours in GarageBand iOS. That's on my wish list. Like, for all the things that would be cool, colours would be cool indeed. Is there a free app version of the DAW LP you were using? No, and it didn't work, so maybe don't buy it just yet. Yeah, totally. It would be nice to color the tracks. I agree with you there. Oh, scrolling down. Yes, I keep calling you Clayton Con Village. Yes, it takes a village sometimes to create a track, right? Sorry, I'm scrolling down and there's lots of good conversations here, but I'll get to any other questions. Taking my guitar lessons. I like it, but it will take a while to get decent. You know what? As I keep saying, don't stress too much about that because you're only going to get better, yeah? No one I know has ever started practicing something, worked their butt off for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and ended up worse than when they started. You may not be Jimi Hendrix good, you may not be Eric Clapton good, but you're going to be better than Jeff Brush a year ago good, just like I'm better at mixing and mastering than I was at Pete Johns a year ago, 2 years, 5 years, because I just keep doing it. That's the thing. There's no magic bullet. There's no shortcut. There's no hack. As much as the internet will try and tell you there is, it is hard work. It is just putting in the hours, putting in the reps. You don't build muscles by reading about lifting weights. You lift the frickin' weights. It's the same with music. You don't get good at music by watching tutorials or listening to me rabbit on for hours at a time. You get in there and you create. Now, hang around while I tell you what... Oh, you're going to love the irony of some of the rants we go on here. Hi, Pete. Is there a way to change the time signature to 5/4 in GarageBand iOS? There isn't, but there is a hack and a workaround that helps you do it. And I did cover this in a recent video. So instead of showing you, I'm going to point you there. So if we go to time signature, I think did I do a recent one? I thought I did it. Yeah, time signature hack. I rehashed it and showed you again in a recent video. So if you search, in fact, if you spell right, it helps. Time signature hack. So type into your YouTube search engine, Pete Johns time signature hack, and for some reason, it'll be the third one down. But those two are actually relevant videos as well. But this one's the quick one that's just going to give you just the facts. So 4-minute video, it'll show you how to do it. In essence, what you do is you sneeze. One moment, please. I love that you have to dab when you sneeze now. You see people walking in the street and they're like sneezing and they're dabbing. It's like, wow, it's 2015 again. I missed you, 2015. So yeah, is there a way to do it? Yeah. So what you have to do is basically create your own. And you can use, this video is quite good too, because it's using drums as a metronome. So all you do is you basically program in your own drum. So say you've got, you put 10 bars in there and you want, so say you want 8 bars of 5/4, you put 10 bars of 4/4, and then you just record in boom, chi, chi, boom, chi, boom, chi, chi, boom, chi. And it won't be on the grid, so you won't be able to use some of your grid-like features, but it will give you that pattern throughout. And then you just turn off the metronome and you use your own custom metronome. So short answer, no. Longer answer, yes, with a hack. There you go. Uh, yes, and do try to put question in front. I'll try to find the ones that aren't, but if you do, then yeah. Solrak, hello to you, my buddy Carlito. I learned that you can quantize two different ways on the same track with different sections. Yes, good point. Let's talk about that, shall we? Let's talk about that. Sound like Rhett and Link. So yes, you can quantize in two different ways, meaning that you can actually have multiple quantizations on the same track in GarageBand. It's pretty cool. Let's show you how to do it here. Let's say that we have this string instrument here that we can listen to. So let's play it. This is using iSymphonic. It sounds like this. Ooh, foreboding. Oh, is everyone okay? Yeah. So as we can show you, we can go in here to our plugins and EQ and go to track settings and quantization. Now this quantization will quantize your entire track. So this is doing it at the track level, but you can quantize at the audio clip level. So there's another way to do this. So let's turn off quantization there and let's show you how to do this. So let's just say that we wanted this bit quantized on the 8th note. So we come in here, we go to edit, and then oops, that's the wrong one. We need settings. Don't do that. All right, try that again. Take two. We tap on this one. We go to settings, and then we go to quantization. This should look familiar because this is your quantization option. So we can go straight quantization, 8th note. So that is actually quantized just this particular clip. So if we go done, what we can then do is say, this clip, we actually want this quantized to a 16th note. Not quite as much quantization on there. So we go settings, quantization, 16th note. And then this final section, again, if you click across these, you'll notice that it'll just bring up the while you're in quantization, you can keep clicking other bits and it will go straight to the quantization. So we can then go, I want quarter note quantization on this one. Cool, done, excellent, sweet. All right, so then what you'll notice is that if you go back to your overall quantization up here, you'll see that it says multiple. So this means that quantization has been set separately on each individual clip. It's even cooler than that. If you've got a clip like this, don't forget that you can actually split this out. So say that we wanted to split this into two sections because this section needs quantization and this is more freeform, we can do that. And then just make sure that we've only got the quantization on this section. And then we go to this section and we turn it off. Boom. Done. So there you go. You've got a lot of flexibility with your quantization here. You can either do it at the overall track level or you can do it at the audio clip level or the MIDI clip level on here. So thank you for the reminder there, Solrak. Great tip, my friend. Let's move on. Alrighty. Yeah, I wish I'd learned a lot of things when I was a kid. Absolutely. And you are doing it now, which is what counts. Yeah. There are the best time to start doing anything is 10 years ago. The second best time to start doing anything is right bloody now. So keep that in mind. Don't beat yourself up because you weren't doing it 10 years ago. Start doing it now. Hello, Athlon. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Thank you for being here on the stream. It's done its little scroll down thing, so I'm going to have to jump back up here and find the question. What is your favorite genre of music? Usually singer-songwriter, alternative rock, kind of sort of stuff. There you go. Sean Rose, question, I'm working on a creepy horror project. Any tips on chord progressions and instrument choices that give off a creepy vibe? Yeah, so old organs and toy pianos are super creepy. Strings are creepy. Minor chords are creepy. That can help you. In fact, I got a video for you. I actually did a song called Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Which is a creepy version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And if you want to check out exactly how I made it, I did a Halloween special last year, and you can actually go and check it out. So that's a complete tutorial about how I made my creepy Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song. So type Pete John's Creepy into YouTube. Ignore all the other search results you'll get, but check that one out. That's all my recommendations for creepiness in your songs. It should help you out, I hope. All right, let's scroll on down. We're going to keep finding more questions. Talked about my favorite genre. Brad, example. Hello, buddy. Hope you're doing well up there in Canada. Do you think you could quickly show a way to save your zipped song on the USB stick and then how to retrieve them back into recents? Stay away from recent. That's my main tip there. I think we've chatted about this and I'm going to do a separate video because I don't have my USB stick handy, so I don't have the ability to show USB stuff right now. But The key thing here to remember, and I've said this a couple of times before with your files. So here in your files, on my iCloud drive here, my GarageBand files. So if I'm playing around, this is this project that we've just been working on. Don't access stuff from recent. You don't get all the file options. Just pretend recent doesn't exist. In fact, can we get rid of recent? Can we edit the sidebar? No, recent won't go away. But forget recent exists, because anytime you recent, it just messes with you and you don't know the location things are actually at. You don't get the ability to do things like compress and uncompress. Ignore it. Go into iCloud Drive or on my iPad, wherever your stuff's stored, and do things from here. So let's go back into here. This is that Spy from a Distance copy 3. So if I wanted to send this to an external drive, what I generally do is tap and hold it and hit the compress button. This will zip it up. The reason I zip is that things like Google Drive and Dropbox don't support the .band format. USB drives do, but I've had too many corruption issues that I just don't bother with it anymore. I always zip up before I do this. Now, I've chosen a bad project because it's going to take a long time to zip. But once you have that zip file there, when you put a USB drive in here, it will pop up as another location. What I generally do to copy things across, let's just pretend it's this one. I will tap and hold that. I'll hit the copy button. I'll go to the location on here. So let's just pretend it was this audio share is an actual USB drive because it'll look exactly the same. And then I find a spot here, I tap and hold, and I hit paste. And it pastes in that file. When I'm bringing it on back, I do the same thing. If I'm doing multiple, I'll select multiple like that, and then do the move button, because you won't have a copy, but you'll have a move, and then you tell it where to go, bring it back to your iCloud drive. You'll notice there it now changes it to copy. You hit the copy button and it comes on back. So if you're moving files around, either from USB drive, because USB drives work just like any other location, you just have to make sure that you've got compatible file types. So yeah, that would be my recommendation there. Ignore recent. That causes more problems than it's worth, and just use your iCloud drive and on my iPad locations. Zip things up within files, right in there, copy those zip files across, and you should be good to go. But yeah, I know you've been having some challenges with USB drives and file transfers and whatnot, Brad. So yeah, and if you've got ongoing questions, ask them at the GarageBand Users Facebook group. There's a bunch of really good people over there that know their GarageBand stuff. How many users are at the Garage? Is it 10,000? Am I making that up? If you're not a Facebook user, what I say to people is, you don't really have to engage in Facebook. Like, don't get into the whole like fighting about things and politics and religion and everything else. Just use Facebook for music stuff, because there are so many good music groups on there that you're genuinely missing out if you're not part of some of these. So the GarageBand Users Facebook group has 11.3 thousand members. So if you go to Facebook, search for the GarageBand Users Facebook group, 11,000 people there, all really good folks that can really help you out. The other group that you may want to join, if you're not already, is the Create, Record, Release group. So this is my the official Facebook group of a Studio Live Today. We just call it Create, Record, Release because it's more than just Studio Live Today. It's more than just like tutorials or a place for me to dump my stuff. It's actually an interactive community where people are creating, recording, and releasing music and sharing their experiences doing so. I'm going to have a quick drink and then we're going to scroll on down to our next question. Solrak says, hi Pete, how can I go to the Ringtones folder from GarageBand without opening GarageBand? Is there a way? Usually you have to share it as a ringtone. Yeah, look, I haven't played with ringtones in a really long time, to be honest. I did one video about sharing to ringtones. I haven't explored it since. I'll have to look into it more because I don't actually know. I don't think once you export it, I think it just tells you where you want to put it. It just puts it in its location that it has ringtones. I don't think that's searchable or actually accessible. It's kind of like GarageBand loops. They're the same thing, like the Apple loops. They just put them within the GarageBand code. I think they just kind of hide those somewhere in your iPhone or iPad. So, yeah. Short answer is I don't know. Michael says, gave away all my vinyl records. Used to love unwrapping albums. All those liner notes. Yeah, how good was reading liner notes while you're listening to an album for the first time? You're sitting there and you're reading the liner notes. That's very cool. We're scrolling down and there is a magic bullet. It's like a blender. I had one of those. They made really horrible smoothies. Remember when green smoothies were all the rage? People were thinking they were healthy just because they'd throw a bunch of spinach and pineapple in a blender and mix up a green smoothie. Hey, it probably still is. Probably still is the case. Practice, practice, practice. Exactly. Practice makes progress. Not perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. It makes progress. That's the thing. They got that wrong. Whoever it was that came up with that original practice makes perfect, nah, complete crap. Practice makes progress, and that's all you really need to do. Scrolling on down, see, Carl TV, hello to you. I don't really use GarageBand anymore, but Pete has inspired me a lot, and I respect him for it. Thank you. And that is fine. Like, if people come in and they say, oh, sorry, Pete, I don't watch your stuff anymore because I don't use GarageBand, I'm like, cool. That's good. If you've moved on and you've got a workflow that works for you, more power to you. But, hey, you can still catch things like Your Music Live. You can catch my more generic videos, the rants that we have from time to time. It's always a lot of fun. Have you ever tried older versions of GarageBand just for fun? You know what? I was thinking about this because I have an iPhone 4S and an iPad 2. And I was thinking, would it be fun to do a retro series? Because both of those are running the old GarageBand 2.1, like the really old clunky one. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to record a video where I record a song on an iPhone 4S? I don't know. Let me know. If you'd like to see that, let me know. Because, I've been considering it. I'd have to go and charge them and find a 30-pin cable and all sorts of other things, but it could be a lot of fun just to do. Sion, hello to you. Do you know if you can comp vocals using multi-track recording? Did you know you can? If you tap on the mixer icon near FX, go to track settings recording, you can record multiple takes at once in GarageBand. Yeah, it's a pretty... I don't use it. Maybe I should use it more, but I don't use it that much. Let's come over here and I'll show you. Hang on, what were we doing? Multi-track recording. Yeah, I'll do it here in GarageBand, and I'll show you what we're doing. See, now I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna use the recent. Just after I told Brad never use the recent folder, I'm gonna use it just so I can go back into this project that we've been playing with and know that I'm in the right spot. So what Sion is talking about is that you can actually do multi-take recording. It was a feature added back in I want to say version 2.2 that it was added in around the same time as Alchemy Synth. So what you can do, if you go into your recording here, you've got an audio recorder track. So any of your microphones, any of your audio recorder type tracks. Under your track settings, under recording, say you've got multi-take recording, you can turn this on and off. And what it does is you can actually record the same section again and again. And instead of going over the top of it, it will actually record a second tape. Let's show you what we mean. So let's turn it off. And if I recorded on this section right here, I don't have a mic plugged in, so I'm not recording anything, but we've done that. What is it going to do? Well, if we come back out to here, it has overwritten that original track with whatever we record. Now, we can get it back because we can just move that out of the way, and we've got non-destructive editing, so we can bring it back, no problems. We'll just undo all that. But what Sion's saying is you can actually do multiple takes. So say you were trying to get this vocal right, if you turn multi-take recording on, let's hit record again and take a look at what happens. We'll stop that there. We'll come back to here. Now, look at this. Isn't this interesting? We've got this bit here that has a number 2 next to it. So this is saying that this is the second take on this particular track. So if we tap on this one and we go to takes, we can then bring it back to the first take. Or we can go to the second take. Now, the reason I don't use this and I comp my vocals by just recording them on separate tracks is I find this kind of clunky. I find that you have to come back in here, and if you want to chop between 2 different takes, you have to come in here, you have to split it like this, and you go, all right, I want take 1 on that part, and then we'll go here. Oh, it's gone. See, I think this is the problem I had, is that it didn't really play nicely. If you were recording everything in one big thing, it would be fine. But see how the takes option has gone away from this second half? Because I split it at that point, it's gone back to just take 1, and there's no way to get take 2 back. So I don't use it because I find it clunky, but play around with it. It's definitely if you're recording a whole vocal take. If you see, like me, I record in chunks. So when I'm recording, I'll record verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus 2, and usually do those in separate chunks, which is why you see my vocals are all segmented. If you recorded the whole thing, or say you had a guitar solo, that would probably be a better use case. And you just recorded it, and you just wanted to play it and record it 5 times, and then go back and find the best one. Yeah, sure, multi-take recording might be the best option, but for me, I don't love it. But it's there, and it's worth experimenting with if you want to try it. Try it. You'll like it. Try it. You're gonna like it. So thank you for the question, Sion. I also like the keyboard collection pack. They had some good stuff in that one, didn't they? Totally. All right, let's see. Who else we got? Oh, no, it's gone straight down to the bottom of the barrel. It's gone to the bottom of the barrel, everybody. All right, I'm going to scroll back up to find these. Joe Motta said, hi, Pete. I recorded my guitar with a head rush pedal board, and it plays back with all the effects. Is there a way to keep the track and have no effects in case I want to change to a different effect? So I recorded my guitar with a head rush pedal board. It plays back with all the effects. Okay. So I'm not 100% sure if when you've recorded it in, are you saying that so it's the head rush pedal board, meaning that you're sending the affected signal out and you're recording that? If that's the case, then there's no way to strip that out. If it's baked in, if it's recorded in to the actual recording, then there's nothing you can do. If you've recorded in and you're using an amp simulator or an app or something else, then absolutely you can. So let's just quickly show you here. So for instance, I have these guitars here. So these are these clean guitars. If I play this, in fact, let's use this one because this is the nice little lead riff that we have at the start of this song. So, and what you'll notice there is it's got a bunch of effects on here, yeah? We've got some echo, some reverb, we've got some noise gate and some compressor on here, and it's using the amp simulator. It's using this one here, which is the Rich Harmonics preset. Now, we can strip all of that out by simply creating a new track and moving that to the new track. So let's hit plus. We'll come across to an audio track, and this will work in any software you're using, but you just need to create a new, and in Garageband, we go, nothing's more fun than being clean. That's what I've heard. And then we go back to our track here. What I'll do, just for convenience, let's tap and drag this up underneath that guitar track. Boom. And then we'll grab this one, copy just the audio, because remember, this audio is just the clean audio that we've recorded in from our guitar here. And then we'll paste it to a second track. So we'll go like this, and we'll do that, and we'll paste it in there. Now what we can do is if we play this back just here, you'll notice it sounds like this. It's the straight sound of that Les Paul humbucker pickup going in with no processing whatsoever, different to this one. Right, so that's what I would do, is if you want to strip it out, you can do that quite easily. Just grab the audio, paste it onto a clean track, and then you can add whatever effects you want to that. Now, if you're recording it in using hardware, what I would tend to recommend folks do is try to get a device that's got two inputs. Now, you can use something like a direct box if you want to do something like this that sends your guitar out separately and record one clean and then one affected signal. So a lot of processors will have a pass-through, and then they'll also have an output. So what you want to do in that case is if you've got something like a two-channel interface, a Steinberg UR22 or a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, then you can send the pass-through signal into channel 1 and then the affected signal into channel 2, and then you're recording. You're doing multi-channel recording. And if you want to learn about multi-channel recording, I've got a bunch of videos here on the channel. If you go to here, Pete John's multi-channel, then we should find, there you go. That first video there is all about setting up and recording on your iPhone or your iPad using a two-channel interface and recording two mics or two guitars or a mic and guitar at the same time. So hopefully that helps you out there, Joe, but thank you for the question and thank you for being here. Stick Ham says, my USB cable stopped working. Any advice to get it working again? USB lightning cable. No, once they go, they're kind of gone. I wish that they were better quality. When you get a new one, wrap some gaffer tape or a balloon or something around the end that can stop them fraying. But sadly, Apple lightning adapters, well, not so much the lightning adapters, but the cables have very thin connectors near the lightning and the USB end, so they do go quickly. I apologize, but there's not much you can do. Question: how about a collab sometime, someday? I struggle with time to be able to do things like collaborate. I did one recently with Emil, which was a lot of fun. So I do, on average, about once a year. So feel free to ask, but yeah, don't be offended if I say sorry. I just don't have the time. I would love to do more of it, and I hope to do more in the future. But yeah, again, it's always fun to do, and I need to do more music creation. So yeah, if you've got an idea, but that's the thing. This is good advice for collaborating with anyone. If, like, a lot of people will come in, or they'll email me, or they'll go to a forum, and they go, hey, Pete Johns, let's collab, bruh. And I'll be like, what do you have in mind? They're like, oh, I don't know. So if you are going to collaborate with someone, say, hey, I would really like to do this funkadelic, psychotic song in A major, and it's going to have this and this and this. I like your guitar. Will you play guitar on it? That's something I can say yes or no to a lot easier than will you collab, because that's a bit of an open-ended question. So that would be my tip if anyone, if you're collaborating with other people, and if you do want to collaborate with people, once again, I'll say it, create, record, release Facebook group here, folks. A lot of people are doing a lot of collaborating over there. We got drummers, we got guitar players, we got vocalists, we got synth guys and gals. We got everyone over there. So if you do want to get into some collaboration, that is a great way to do it. All right. You're welcome. Yeah, hopefully that does come in handy for you. Question from the Pyro Steve. Hello to you. I'm sure it changes all the time, but what's your favorite song you've made? For instance, if you had to show someone new one song of yours, what would that be? That would be a song called New Beginning. Actually, and it's pretty easy. It does change all the time, but right now it is New Beginning. The reason, let's take a listen to a little bit of it while I talk. The reason I like this one. The reason I like this one is it was my Songtember song from last year. It was my departure from what I had been doing a while. It was me pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I did a couple of things in this. I did a rock first half and a metal second half. I had a complete timing change, so I changed the complete BPM of it. I collaborated with Jade Starr on the drums with it, so that sort of helped me learn some things. And at the end of the day, I just think it just kind of rocks. It's a cool rock song. It's the sort of music that I want to listen to. So whenever anyone asks me and they're like, "Oh, if you had to pick one song to show me, then what would it be?" It would be this one. Plus, my daughter designed the album artwork, which I think looks epic. So there you go. That's a special place in my heart for that as well. But no, good question and thank you. What's your favorite song you've created? For all of you, if you've created a song, what would it be? Yeah, maybe share them around. I know you can't share links here, but if you're following other people around here and you're sharing songs, that's a good thing. And put them onto Your Music Live. Jeff Brush, is this going to be a regular time slot for AMA now? It's a good question, Jeff. Thank you for asking. I'm in a bit of a flux here at the moment. So I've got some ideas on some changes. So at the moment I do home studio Q&A. That's actually at 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning for me. And it's not the greatest time because it's kind of midday on a Saturday for folks in the West Coast US, at 3 p.m. Saturday for folks in the East Coast. So it doesn't tend to be a great time for a lot of people. I'm thinking these later time slots might be a little bit better. I know it messes around for those in the UK and Europe because it's super late, but it tends to be the best because it's the middle of the day for folks here in Australia and it's a little bit later for our folks in the US and Canada. So I'm kind of working out, because we really only need one sort of Q&A type show. So I'm probably going to land on doing a 2-hour Q&A type show that's an Ask Me Anything format around about this time. So, and then leaving the Saturday for the happy hour show. Because at the moment I do 2 shows every Sunday, which is Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening for folks in the UK and US. So that might be the future, is that we'll do this one, which is Friday for me. It's a Thursday night. It seems to be a good time where people are around and want some help. And we can do a longer show too, because again, it's the middle of the day here for me, and I'm not as bleary-eyed because it's not 6:30 a.m. What do you reckon? Oh, Bubba, we're about 20 short on thumb love. There you go. If you're having some fun, if you are having fun here today, support the channel. Hit the thumbs up button or the thumbs down if you haven't liked any of my answers and you think I'm not providing any good answers. Then feel free to go ahead with that. Let me go to the bathroom. All right, I'll stand here for 2 minutes. We won't be doing anything. Off you go. No, hit pause and then catch up. Yeah, you can always do that. But thank you for being here. And you're back. No, you didn't miss much. You didn't miss much at all. There you go. Yes, do those things. Group, connect, share, and collaborate with others. Do join the Garageband users Facebook group if you're into your Garageband. Hey, if you don't like Facebook, that's no harm, no foul either. But again, don't take the cool communities. Facebook just happens to be the best community to be able to share stuff on. No, Reddit's okay. What's the one? Excuse me a moment. Discord servers are okay. Patreon's cool, but it's a community and you have to pay to be involved in it. Facebook is just the best free platform for sharing with other people. And again, you don't have to get involved in any other stuff. And you don't have to open up your profile. You can keep it pretty private. Anyway, I'm not a Facebook apologist by any stretch, but I just think it's a cool place to go. And there's cool people on those things. All right, so let's see if we've got some more questions. Hello, Gary Hubbs, who's in the house and dropping on by. Good to see you here. We'll keep scrolling. Clayton Concluge, if you don't like practice, music isn't going to be an easy road for you to make any sense or accomplishment or fun with it. Yeah, and look, practice doesn't have to be like arduous. Practice can mean you're just doing like 10 minutes a day. Like 10 minutes, you'd be surprised what 10 minutes a day actually can do. If you're consistent, consistency is more important than how long you do. So, you listen to people like I did the masterclass with Tom Morello, guitarist for Rage Against the Machine. And he said when he was becoming the world's greatest guitarist, in my opinion, that he was doing 8 hours practice a day. And someone that wants to be like Tom Morello would go, but I can't do 8 hours practice a day. Well, yeah, guess what? You're not going to be like Tom Morello then. But you can be more like him if you practice for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 or an hour, because you're going to get better. It's just true. You're just going to get better. Corey Young, hello to you. I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. Can you use GarageBand for podcasting? And if so, how would I make an intro song and add it to every new project? What a good question. So yeah, you absolutely can use GarageBand for podcasting. What I tend to recommend is if you're recording a podcast on your iPhone or iPad, I actually use Audio Share for all of my audio recording. So let's jump over to the iPad. Here's the thing. You can record in GarageBand, but the problem with GarageBand is you have to record everything on a track. It's more music-based, right? So if you're doing something as a podcast, you could come in here, and the best thing you can do is just turn your tempo all the way down to 40, and then just add a whole bunch of tracks. I won't do this. Oh, God. Is it gonna come back? Oh, that's always a fun thing. See how it moved? There you go. It moved on my audio because it said, we're at 40 now, so it compressed everything. So yeah, you can just use that and record all your audio on one track. What I would do, and what I see a lot of people do, is actually record using the Audio Share recorder. Well, not that one. Audio Share. The reason that I recommend Audio Share Recorder is you've got a lot more control over your audio settings. So if you go into the settings here, you've got a stereo recorder here. You can see there, it's set to record WAV files. So you're getting full resolution. You can record either stereo or mono. That's important because if you're using, say, a 2-channel interface, but you just got one mic plugged in, you want to record in mono. You don't want all your audio to be on the left because you're recording on one channel of a 2-channel interface. So you can change it to mono. You can put your bit depth there, 24-bit. You can record up to 96 kilohertz sampling rate. So if you're using a Steinberg UR22, they go up to 192 kilohertz, so you can record at a higher sample rate if you want. I'd leave it at 44 because that's what GarageBand uses, and you can even normalize the audio there if you want to. So you can basically set this up, and what I've found is that the quality you get, we'll just hit record, got no mic plugged in, so it's not going to do anything here, but you record there, and then when you finish and you stop there, you've instantly got your WAV file. Now, it won't look like that. It'll look more like, do I have any recordings I've done in here? No, I have all the recordings on my other thing, but it will look like just like that. So that's your recording that you'll have, and then you can just export it. So you can either just drag it straight into GarageBand, you can export it here. Yeah, there's a bunch of things that you can do, but you've got the audio file saved. GarageBand is reliable-ish, but let's just say you record the whole audio, and then you forget to close out of your GarageBand project. Guess what? You lose it. If your iPad crashes or if it runs out of battery, that's happened to me before. I've forgotten to close and save a project, left my iPad on, it runs out of battery, you have to restart it. Guess what? Lost your audio. So for podcasting and for any sort of audio recording productions, concerts, iPhone, no, don't do that. Then Audio Share is actually really cool. So you can use I keep going to the wrong one. You can use the Audio Share recorder and then bring that in. In terms of getting your backing track or an intro song, then yeah, all you need to do is create a song in GarageBand. I've got heaps of videos here on the channel about how to use GarageBand, or you can take the course at GarageBand. studiolivetoday.com/courses. You can take my GarageBand for Beginners course. That would be a great way to get familiar. And then you create your track like that. You export that, save that as a WAV file, bring that into a new project and just put that at the front. And then that's just every week, yeah? So that's your template. You save that as podcast template. Then every week you duplicate that template, you record in Audio Share, you bring your audio file, you put the thing in, you cross-fade it with your intro and your audio, and then you export, and there's your podcast, done. And then just rinse and repeat every week. Do that. So yeah, hopefully that helps you, give you a few options. So yeah, you can use GarageBand. I would use a combination of GarageBand and Audio Share personally. But thanks for the question, and thanks for being here. Alrighty, we will keep going. And Marissa, all my music is me practicing until somehow I have a song. Absolutely. Does anyone use automation? Automation is the best way to get something cool, to get your volume leveled out. You do want to play around with automation. It's one of the best things that you can do. All right. Scrolling back up to find more questions. All right, we're getting way behind, so I'm just going to look for the word question. If you don't have question in front of your question, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to answer it. So we'll scroll down to the next mention of Zivered question, which is coming here, which is from Soulrack. Have you ever downloaded GeoShred, which has the most realistic violins and flute I have heard in my life, or the plugin called Altezza? You know what? Jade Star showed GeoShred on the violins and the other instruments in a recent show over on her channel. So go to Jade Star, how to app on iOS.com, and check that out. She also recently showed the plugin Altezza, which is from our friends FAC, Fred Anton Corvest, and he creates a bunch of very cool apps. So yes, and yes. I just haven't played with them myself because I kind of ran out of time to do that, but I will be getting there. I will be playing with those in the future. Alrighty, question. We've got question marks, that's close enough. When one considers the fact that anyone listening to music on their own music machines will tweak the bass and treble to their own liking, how does one make a recording flat enough yet dynamic enough? What a good question. Excellent question from Publius America. One moment. My apologies. I had a tickle in my throat, thought the water would fix it. No, apparently it needed a cough. So, yeah, when one considers that fact, how does one make a recording flat enough? So this is the thing, yeah. It is a challenge. It's a challenge to get something that has enough bass and enough treble to be interesting, to be able to be maintained, to be a good song, but at the same time, people are going to tweak your stuff anyway. So you don't want to overload the bass to the point where it's going to sound really crappy, someone using something like this, which will just get all distorty if there's too much bass. The same token, you don't want to put no bass in and expect people to turn it up themselves. So flatter is better generally. It's kind of the way that I go in, is to try and get a compromise between hyping and overhyping your treble and bass and actually getting them into the right place. So yeah, it's a tough one. Like, if anyone else has any ideas here, I mean, it's one of those questions that there's so many different ways to answer, because referencing is a big thing. Referencing across different listening environments and referencing against other tracks is something that I don't do enough of, and other people probably are or aren't doing, I don't know. But bring in so when you're doing your mixing and your mastering, bring in a track that you love. So if you want to create a rock track and you want to sound like Foo Fighters, bring in Foo Fighters. You want to make a track that sounds like Jay-Z, bring in Jay-Z, and then play their track and then your track and see how they've mixed it. Because these are pro people that are mixing and mastering these songs. Get your bass and your treble and your mids to sound like they do, with the same sort of levels and inflections, and then you're probably going to have a song that is going to translate across all of those different platforms. So hopefully that helps you out at least a bit. Question, do you feel like your brain is about to explode with all the questions today? I do, but I love it. I wouldn't do this if I didn't love it. I do. I really enjoy it, and I do thank you all for being here and for asking your questions. Because, yeah, without you, I was chatting to some folks earlier today, and, yeah, I was talking about the fact that what I do most of, more than anything, is people are like, how do you get ideas for videos? How do you generate your content? Whatever you want to call it. I listen. I just go into the comments of these videos, and I do these shows, and guess what? You might have noticed I did a few pauses there. There'll be a video coming out about how to use multiple quantization, because we had our friend Soulrack who suggested that. I'll probably do one on multi-take recording, because that's something I haven't covered for a while. And I'll definitely be clipping out that bit about drummer and using that for a video. So whilst, yes, these can be long and it does hurt my brain, and I am going to have to go and like have a lie down and a Bex afterwards, it is really good, because it does give me a lot of information about what people are asking and what you folks are looking for and what challenges you have that are stopping you from creating. So that's what this should be all about. You should be here and you should hang out for an hour or two and have some fun, and then you should be motivated to go away with a couple of new ideas. Not everything's going to resonate, but if you take away one or two concepts that you then go and try, If they don't work for you, that's fine too. But hey, it might be something that you haven't actually tried. You can try that. Right. Kim says, so telling my husband, how does he do this? Again, practice, repetition. I was bad at it, and now I'm better at it. And in a couple of years' time, hopefully I'll be really good at it. Like that, practice makes perfect. Practice makes progress. There you go. All right. What song are we talking about? That the guitar. Yeah, I really like this. I really like this song. What is it? Well, see, you just said, oh, how do you do this? And then I lose it completely. Spy from a Distance. Yeah, I was pretty happy because it actually only uses. Let's just jump over for a sec. Take a quick detour. It actually only uses GarageBand amp sims. So I use no tone bridge, no bias, no amplitude. It's all just GarageBand amp sims. And I was actually, and just plugged in my Les Paul and my crappy bass guitar. I don't even know what brand my bass is. It's not a good one. Actually, it's an Aston, which is like an old Australian brand. But yeah, like it was pretty good. Like the guitar sounds that we got here, like these. And then when the like this chorus sound came in, I really like this chorus shimmer effect that we get here in the chorus. Sort of melancholy kind of sound. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop stroking my own ego. Joey says, I put an old pen spring around the cable, seems to help. Yeah, there's all sorts of hacks and things. Try different stuff. Different things will work for you. But yeah, they do tend to just break after a while. This is the key. Sorry, the cables and things. Question: do you spring forward on Sunday? Do I spring forward? Oh, no. But I am going to have to check that because I keep putting the times out there. But some of you are going into daylight saving time, aren't you? We're coming out at the end of the month, so we come out on I think the 30th of March, around about then, the last weekend in March. So yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to work out. I've just got all the times ready for what it is now, and then it's going to change again. Hello, Byron. Hope you are doing well, my friend. If anyone else I haven't said hello to, or if you're new to the channel, what I like to say is if you put hashtag new, if it's your first time here on the channel, put hashtag new. All of the usual suspects will treat you super nice and say hello to you. So if you're brand new to the channel, brand new to the show, hashtag new, and people were there. Joe says, my question was answered and I'm exhausted. There you go. Yes. Just scrolling through to see if we have any questions. Hello, Joe. We've already said good day to you. That's all right. I'll say hello again, but thank you. Someone's asking for the moderators to delete their message. Is that like going up to the police and saying, please arrest me? Please, I've done 100 crimes. I'm ever so naughty. Please arrest me right now. All right, let's, oh, it's gone. It did its thing. I'm slowly scrolling down and then it just goes shump. So we might have to declare bankruptcy. Hey, we got Joe in the house. Hello to you. Hope you're well. Synth Widow is here. Thank you for being here. I think we might have to go there. Oh, there you go. Joe, question. Joey's in the chat. Can you give her a spanner? Yeah, so Synth Widow. If you don't know Synth Widow, I don't think I'm revealing anything. I'm not allowed to here, Joe, but it is the better half of the sound test room. So everyone should be, if you're not, go subscribe right now. The Sound Test Room. Doug over there, and of course Joe look after you very well. So do go over to the Sound Test Room, and I'm going to prove how much I trust by finding where are you? Where are you hiding? There you are. I'm going to hit this button, and this is going to do this. We're going to add Joe as a moderator right now. There you go, Synth Widow. You can get off me back now. I've done it. All right, let's see. We've got a few more questions here. I've got a few things to talk about. So if I do run out of questions, we will jump over and do that. My iPad broke. Zelda. Hello, Zelda N64 fan. I haven't seen you around for a while. My iPad broke. Should I go for the 8th gen iPad 10.2 or the M1 Mac Mini? Ooh, good question. The app compatibility of the M1 makes me hesitant, especially when I'm so used to iPad and all the AUV3 apps. Yes. So, if I could have one device, this is a good question actually, and I'm going to ask you another interesting question that I want you to answer after this one. But if you could have only one device, would it be an iPad or would it be a Mac? For me, right now with what I do, it would be really tough because I now lean very heavily on my Mac to do this. So running my channel, doing live streaming, creating videos, I kind of need my Mac. But the content of my videos is all about iOS. So for me, it's a hard one. If I was just creating music though, with the experience that I have with 5-6 years now experience using iOS to record, it would have to be an iPad. I would still have to go with the iPad because especially if you have a keyboard and a mouse with it, there's not much that you can't do with it. In terms of creating, there's not much you can't do with it. With LumaFusion, with Garageband, Cubases, all the different AUV3, all the different external apps, there's not really a whole lot lacking. So, and if you're used to the apps and say you've got a collection of plugins and apps that you use on iOS and you went to the Mac M1, the dream was early on that the Mac M1 would run all the apps that we run on iOS. Turns out it runs about 10%, maybe 5% of all the apps in the App Store for iOS. So yeah, definitely don't get an M1 Mac thinking it's going to replace, lift and shift your iPad experience. So I actually love, my daughter just bought the 8th gen iPad 10.2 and it is phenomenal. Like it is, because it's running the A12 processor. So it's so much quicker. Like the older one, the last version, the iPad 10.2, do not buy. Bad processor, just runs like a bad thing. I don't even have an analogy, but it runs terribly. But the new one, the just straight iPad 10.2, runs beautifully. Runs all the apps she throws at it, multitasking, supports the Apple Pencil, the 1st gen, not the 2nd gen, but still pretty cool. Yeah, I would go for it. I wouldn't. I would just go with a new iPad for now because you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck with an iPad than you are with the M1. My personal opinion. There you go. Alrighty, let's come on down and find some more questions. What's the topic about? It is about anything, my friend. Anything and everything. That's what Ask Me Anything is all about, but generally audio. So we're talking about audio, home recording, and everything in between. But yeah, if you've got audio-related questions, throw them here. Or if you want to ask what I had for lunch yesterday, you can do that too. I agree, Tom. The GarageBand and Logic are not that bad. Once they're in the mix, you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference unless you listen closely. Exactly. So, I mean, as much as I love ToneBridge, as much as I love all the different amp simulators, and I use Clevgra and Stark quite a lot, if I just want to dial in a quick guitar tone, I'll just dial it in with the regular guitar amps. They sound good. And you can tweak them. There's so many options in them that you can tweak them and make them sound good. Hello, Eduardo Tapia, who is new. Welcome to the foray. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your support. And I'm sure everyone will be treating you nicely. Ivan, idea is new. Welcome to you. And by the way, I do love all the old. Feel free to put hashtag old if you've been around here for a while. Then, yes, do that. Alrighty. Question from Clayton Von Village. I'm just going to call you that now. I get this thing in the mastering mixdown process where it seems like every new track robs the others. It's difficult to blend them. Any thoughts? Yeah, so I did a video recently a little bit about this, or at least a little bit related to this. And when you're getting that, so especially in GarageBand, but also in other platforms, if you're finding that as you're grabbing your tracks here and as you're dialing one of them up, it's overpowering others, it's probably that all of your tracks are up too loud. So if you look at my mixing, look at my dials here, you'll notice that track by track, they're all at like 20, 30, 40%. The thing is, GarageBand defaults you right up here to 80%. And some people then go, that's not loud enough, so they turn it all the way up to 100%. If all of your mixing dials are all the way over to the right down here, you're probably mixing everything too loud. And instead of trying to turn the other thing up to compete with the already loud thing, turn the other one down. Similar to EQ. When you want to EQ something and you want to enhance a frequency, what most people do is they grab their EQ and they turn up that frequency. What a better thing to do is to grab the frequency that you don't want and turn it down, what we call subtractive EQ. It's kind of the same with mixing. If you think about it, every time, like even if everything's there at like 0 dB, like minus 12 dB, you know, your mix is not really clipping. Well, once you get 4 tracks, 8 tracks, 16 tracks, then every one of those is adding to the overall amplitude, that's the amp sim, amplitude of the signal. So every time you add another track, it's having to compete. And what GarageBand does, which is good but bad, is instead of just clipping and distorting and making it sound like crap, it uses auto normalization. Or if you go over 0 dB, it actually uses auto limiting. So if you ever get that pumping sound when your tracks are up too loud, that's what that is. So turn it down. Honestly, that's the number one thing. For everyone that I've ever check the project out. They'll send me a project, and the first thing I do is like, dude, or dudette, this is way too loud. I'm just going to turn it down. And don't forget that if you just want to turn down the overall mix, if your mix is pumping and you want to get it all down, don't forget the little hack that you have here, and that is to add an FX track. So if we add FX, we just record in a little bit of FX, then turn that off, delete that FX because we don't actually want it in there, leave the FX track here, go to your mixer, you can actually go to the visual EQ and you can turn the whole lot down here and check it out. Or up. So there you go. Bonus additional extra tip there. Hopefully that helps you out. Let us continue. Bartender, my drink is too strong. Mine is too weak. I need something better to drink. It is Friday afternoon here, so it may be. It may be happening sooner rather than later. There you go. Spatter. Get it done. Now Joe's going to go on a crazy, mad rampage of power and just kick everyone out. My proverb says, what specs of iPad do you suggest to start with? Thanks. Yeah, so the answer to this one, what specs of iPad, is a big it depends, but thankfully I've helped you out. I got you covered. StudioLiveToday.com/iPad. If you go there, it's here. StudioLiveToday.com/iPad. So this is my iPad buyer's guide. So you can check these out. I've got my iPad Pro 2020 real world review. I was talking to Russ about that. He said he was keen to get one at the time, and the review helped him there. Best iPad for music production, and all of the 2020 models compared. So there's a bit of viewing for you. If you're a visual person, watch those three. If you like to read, then jump in here. I haven't updated it since September 2020, but that's okay. We haven't had a new iPad since September 2020. So we have here the best all-rounders, which is the iPad 2020 8th Gen, the one we were talking about earlier, the 10.2 inch. iPad Pro 2nd Gen, if you want something a bit older that's still good, or an iPad Mini 5th Gen. If you're on the budget entry level, iPad Air 2, iPad 2019, or Mini 4. So these three are kind of your low end. They're still going to run iOS 14. You're still going to be able to run decent audio and video apps. But once you start adding a bunch of different processing or effects or running multiple apps at once, you will start to see some slowdown. Optimizing performance in Garageband, that's the sort of stuff you're going to see. And if money is no object or you want to really invest in yourself, the iPad Air 4th Gen, the one that came out in 2020, it's great, really good. Same form factor as the iPad Pro, USB-C connectivity, really good machine. Or, of course, the iPad Pro, either the 2018 or the 2020 models. They both have the USB-C connectivity. The only difference is your 2018s have 4 gigabytes of RAM, your 2020s have 6 gig, and some other slight tweaks that have happened over time. So if you are in the market, you can use those links. You can search eBay for iPads, and if you do buy from those, they are affiliate links that they break off a small chunk and send it to me. And last but not least, this one's pretty cool. This is the Buyer's Guide PDF. So if you're looking around, have this one here handy with you, because this is every iPad ever made. And it tells you all the different specs of it, the processors, the RAM, the minimum, maximum storage, even some of the prices that you're going to pay for all of these. So yeah, as much as I love to see new iPads and iPhones come out, it does create extra work because Pete has to go back and update this chart and find all of the extra information to throw in there. So hopefully that helps you out if you're in the market for a new iPhone or iPad. Oh yeah, by the way, I've got the same thing at studiolivetoday.com/iPhone. So if you are in the market for an iPhone instead of an iPad for production, then yeah, we got the same thing there. There you go. There's my iPhone buyer's guide at studiolivetoday.com/iPhone. All right, let's continue on. Music is what human emotions sound like. Yeah, I hear you. I totally feel that. Absolutely. All righty, we'll scroll on down. Everyone's congratulating Joe on being there. Yeah, exactly. You'll get the handbook. The handbook is don't let anyone be a DICK. That's basically it. Don't be it to people, and you'll be fine. You'll get along just fine around here. Dave Fiano, why does GB keep optimizing even with only virtual instruments and only a dozen tracks? Yeah, I alluded to it before. Optimizing performance is a pain in the butt, and it will happen quite often. Let's go through the few tips. I've done videos on these before, so I know you've probably seen them, Dave. If you're running an older iPad, it's just going to be par for the course, unfortunately. The first thing you want to do is go to your settings and make sure that you've got enough free space. So this is an important one, because if you're running out of space on your iPad, oh, where's my settings? There it is. Go to your settings app, go to your settings option here, and go to, under General, iPad storage or iPhone storage. You can see here I got a bucket load. Like I'm not using much here because I had a recent clean out. So make sure that you've got at least sort of 5 to 10 gigabytes free if you can on your iPad. That's the first thing. I would always go in here and close off any apps you're not using. So if you're recording in Garageband, you don't need any of this other stuff running. That's just going to take up space. Come back to here. If you go into your options up in the top here, wait, let me just come over here and make sure I'm not going to show anything I can't. No, we're cool. You can actually go into airplane mode. So this is a good way. So up here, if you tap on that one, I won't do it here because I'll lose my AirPlay because it's using my Wi-Fi. But if you tap that one, it turns off all your Wi-Fi. It turns off all your 4G and 5, well not 5G, all your 4G connects, anything you're using there. So that can actually be a good way to do that if you are using that. And then finally, yeah, even if you're just using virtual tracks, it can definitely do that. What optimizing performance is doing is it's taking, so if I had this project right now, optimizing performance came up. What it does is it takes every track, every virtual track, and every regular track, and it renders those down into a AIF file, actually, an audio file that it then plays back. What that means is that every time you come in here to make a change, it has to re-render it. So the reason that once you get one optimizing performance, it seems to kind of capitulate and you get a heap, is that if it's taken this synth instrument here and it's mixed it down to a WAV file or an AIF file, and then I come in here and I tweak something and I change a setting, guess what? Yeah, it has to do it again, and it goes back to the well and optimizes performance. One final thing is, yeah, and I don't want to say this because I don't like saying that buying things and that gear is the answer, because it's not always the case, but yeah, what I found is that going from my iPad Air 2 to my iPad Pro, I haven't had optimizing performance yet. And I've been opening projects that I used and I definitely had optimizing performance on the old one. So because of the extra RAM, so if you compare something like my old iPad Air 2 that had 1 gigabyte of RAM to my iPad Pro that has 6 gigabytes, yeah, you can see why it doesn't have the same problems that it had before. So yeah, I hate that being the answer, because it's not always the answer, but in this case, it a little bit is. All right, let's have a little bit of fizzy water. Is it a 2-hour show today? Yeah, it is, Kim. I'm trying different things, but you do not feel obliged to watch the whole thing, please. You do not have to. How do you convert drummer loop to midis? You can do it. Our buddy Binny Sandhu, who's been doing some very cool work and providing some cool tips lately, found the answer and the solution. So if we go drummer to drums, so search YouTube Pete Johns drummer to drums. Here you go. This is it. So there's a couple of little tweaks that you have to do to get it to work, but there's a whole video there. Timestamps in the description. It will show you exactly how to convert that, your yellow drummers, into that, your green drum track, so that you can then go and edit to your heart's content. So hopefully that helps you out. All right. Yeah, and there's another tip from Bubba there. Have you ever reset GarageBand? That can be a good thing too. If you go into the GarageBand options and reset GarageBand, that can also help you out. Amaracia said, my iPad Pro 12-inch 2nd gen works but has horrible processing. Yeah, so the 2nd gen, as you said, I put it in there in sort of my middle of the range. It's probably getting a bit longer in the tooth, and I think by the time I do my next, so by the time the 2021 iPads come out, everything will be taking a step backwards, and some of those older ones probably won't be quite up there. There you go. All right. Where are we? Clayton says, "Can I have the 3rd gen iPad Air? Any thoughts on this one as far as GarageBand?" Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. It wasn't in any of my recommendations, but it's middle of the road. It's because it's somewhere between budget and mid-range that it's not entry level and it's not quite mid-range at the moment. So, but yeah, it does a good job. It does well. And you know, use what you've got to create. There is no magic bullet. It's use what you've got to create right now. Don't worry so much about that. Have to say, iPad Pro hands down, as long as I can access DistroKid, which you now can, which we covered at the start there. I thought there'd have to be at least one. What did you have for lunch today? I haven't eaten lunch today, and it's 2 p.m. So I'm looking forward to having something at 2:30. I don't know what it is. Probably ramen noodles, actually, because that's how I roll. Yes, the opulent life of a YouTuber. Yeah, we have a bowl of 2-minute noodles. Exactly. What's up, Doc? Says my Boss GTFX processor also has an auto interface, but not class compliant. Is there any way to get this into my iPhone, or is it Windows only? Yeah, someone was talking about this on the last show we did, and someone else confirmed that yes, they've looked into it in detail, and pretty much all the Boss gear, even though it's got a USB audio interface built in, requires a driver, meaning you can't use it with iPhone or iPad. So I apologize from that. So yeah, you can't do it, but so you'll need a separate audio interface. What you can do though, there is a cool little interface. So this is good. If you've got something that's already sending a signal and you don't need things like a mic preamp or an instrument jack, you just want something to accept your signal. Behringer, of all people, make a cool little unit called the Behringer UCA222. Let's see if I can find it. No, I don't want a UM1. I really don't want a UM1. It's this little sucker, this little red guy. So it's red, which means it goes faster, but the UCA222, is it in stock at the moment anywhere? No. They're about 30 to 40 bucks. So you can see there that what they have is, it's actually pretty cool. It's got RCA, so it's got stereo RCA in, stereo RCA out, a headphone jack, optical output as well, and you can turn your monitoring on or off there, and it's got your volume connection. So I actually use one of these in my PC to send my PC out into my mixer so that I can bring it into these live streams if I ever do. And to be honest, more so when my children use the PC, they've got one channel on the mixer they can just turn up and they don't mess around with any of the other cables. So it's actually a really good sound card just for a PC if you want to be able to have high quality input and output, or for a Mac, or for an iPhone or iPad. So you pair up this sucker with a Lightning to USB 3 adapter, and you've suddenly got stereo in and stereo out in whatever device you want. And that means if you've got a guitar effects processor, you got anything that's going to send out a stereo line signal via either TS or RCA, then you can just use a cable, plug it in, and you'll be off to the races. So I have one, and I've been meaning to do a video on it for a really long time. I just haven't quite got around to it. Thank you for everything, for being here. I am 46E. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. All right. Let's scroll on down and see how you go. Lones Wolf Echo says, Pete tells you when it sounds right. Yeah, just headroom. So yeah, back to the thing with the audio. Yeah, just make sure you have some headroom. Leave yourself some leeway here. Don't turn everything up to 11. Otherwise it will start pumping and clipping and distorting and sounding horrid. So yes, please turn your stuff down. Louder isn't better. Our ears perceive loudness as good, but the problem is, goodbye. The iPad's had enough. The iPad's like, Pete, it's been an hour and a half, buddy. You need to stop. You need to just get a life. All right, I'm going to turn you back on, iPad, because we're going to continue on. You can do it. Don't worry. We have you. Alrighty. We'll come down here. Just going to make sure my iPad's reconnected, which it now is. There you go. I like those t-shirts. They're on my list. Did I show you? Yeah, I was on my Amazon and I was showing some t-shirts, wasn't I? If you want, like this one's one from Amazon too. If without music, life would be flat. You know it. If you want to buy some merch, by the way, I actually just bought the whole family. We've got matching Studio Live Today hoodies. Oh, it's adorable. It's as adorable as it sounds. Now, my children desperately wanted some, and so I bought them for them because I'm a good father and I like to check out my own merch because I'm a raging narcissist, apparently. Yeah. All right, just scrolling on down and seeing if we got some more questions here. What have we got? About 20 minutes to go. I've got a few things I'm going to talk about and tell you about, but I'll save that for kind of the last 10 minutes. I'm just scrolling down, looking for the word question, and then I'm going to ask you a question, right? I'm going to turn the tables. You know what? We're nearly at the bottom. I'm going straight to the bottom. I declare bankruptcy. If you've asked a question, here's your last chance. So I'm right at the bottom of the chat now. If you have a question, put question in front of it, and then you'll be good to go. You want a hoodie? Yeah, well, feel free to pick one up. They are actually reasonably priced. I think it's about $30. I definitely put I put them right down because you can decide. Like, you might not know this, but when people sell merchandise, they can decide how much they sell them for. Yes, it's true. If people say, "Oh man, I can't sell you a hoodie any less than $50," yeah, they can. Cost about $20 to manufacture. I sell them for about 30, so I make a little bit of money on them, and you get a cool hoodie. That's how it works. So, if you do want to check it out, just go to studiolivetoday.com/merch. That is my merchandise store. It looks like this, and you can pick up the t-shirts. They're $22 Australian. The hoodies are $35 Australian. The mugs are $18.19. So I think that equates to 15, 25, and 10. Like, yeah, I made them cheap. I made them cheap for you so that you can get them, and then you can rock your Studio Live Today love and represent when you're out there. How do you make music like Kanye on iPhone? I mean, how do you make music like anyone on iPhone? The iPhone part doesn't really matter. How do you make music like Kanye? You study what he uses. You study the types of beats and sounds, what sort of chord progressions that he uses. Not that his sort of music has many chord progressions. How his rap fits in with those chord progressions and what sort of beats he has in there. Yeah, trial and error. Just study it, learn it, practice it, do it. Can you listen to my beat I made on iPhone? Not right now. But if you do have something that you've made, that is a good segue. Good segue over to the next show. So tomorrow we'll be kicking in with Your Music Live at the usual time. It's 12 p.m. on the West Coast. It is 3 p.m. on the East Coast. And it is 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, or 7 a.m. if you're lucky enough to be here in Australia like me and want to watch it. So yeah, Your Music Live. If you want to submit a song, just go to studiolivetoday.com/YML. There is a form that you can fill in there. I'll show you it right here and right now so you know exactly what to do. And keep in mind, there is currently about a 4-week wait. So here it is. All we need is your artist name, your email address, a link to your song, and a couple of sentences about it. And then you just have to say, yep, you approve for me to play it on the show. So that's all you need to do. And you'll go into the list, and then I'll take a listen to it. And as long as it's not super violent or has a lot of profanity in it, then it'll get a spin. And we listen to those 2 hours of independent music every week right here on the channel. Join me for it, won't you? How do you remove blips in WAV files? Blips in WAV files? Not sure. Depends on where they are and what sort of WAV files and what sort of blips. I did a video this week about crossfading. Maybe check that one out if you're crossfading between two WAV files. And I have videos on noise reduction. So Bruce Free is the noise reduction plugin that I use to remove any noise in my audio, which works well, I say. Have you ever used the app Mic Room? I haven't. Jade, I think you've done a video on Mic Room. Could be wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure Jade did a video about Mic Room. That's the IK Multimedia one, isn't it? That you have all the different mic settings and things. It looks pretty cool. I just haven't ever gotten there. Pretty sure you've answered this before, but what's your go-to audio interface for iPad? Yeah, I have two answers to this now. It is the iRig Pro IO or iRig Pro Duo if you want a simple solution that plugs straight in and just works, or the Steinberg UR22C. You can check both of those out over on my gear guide, which is there, studiolivetoday.com/gear. All right. Am I a computer? No, but many people say that sometimes I'm a little bit robotic in the way that I act. But no, I'm far too emotive to be a computer. I like to have emotion. Clicks. I meant clicks. Yeah, well, yeah, same sort of thing. It just depends what sort of things they are. It depends what sort of clicks you have in there. Question, is there any way of changing the sampling rate and bit depth in Garageband on iPhone 7? No. The only thing you can change is from 16-bit to 24-bit. So you can't change the sample rate. It is baked in at 44.1 kilohertz. It's your only option. But if you want to change the bit depth, come in here to this one, go down to advanced and turn on 24-bit audio resolution. In fact, I recommend every single one of you do that right now, because that is going to improve the quality of any recordings, especially if you're using something like an audio interface that records in at 24-bit. But no, you're stuck at 44.1 kilohertz for your sampling rate. iRig Keys IO 25 is a great audio interface. Yeah, it is. It is great. The iRig Keys IO combines a MIDI keyboard and an audio interface. If you want both of those, then that's what you do. What's your favorite key for rock songs? Probably E or G or D, major. That would be it. Any new plugin for vocals or upcoming video on some? Any new plugin for vocals or upcoming video? Yeah, no, I haven't done, and I don't really have any plans for plugin videos for vocal stuff. But again, I would recommend going over to Jade Star's channel because she does her How to App on iOS series, and she's covered a butt ton, a metric butt ton, which is even bigger than an imperial butt ton of those. All right. Yeah, there you go, Brad. I got to make Studio Live to practice makes progress shirts. Yeah, I reckon I didn't coin that phrase, and I don't think it's copywritten. But yeah, practice makes progress is a great thing, and yeah, I think if more people got behind that and didn't worry about perfection, but realized that practicing makes progress, I think we'd be better off. All right. We are on the wind down now, so thank you everybody for all of your questions here today. It's been an absolute cracker. I've had a whole lot of fun, and I thought I would just go through. Let's do a little lightning round here of all the things that are coming up here. There might be some things of interest here that might help you out. Now, as you probably know, my weekly show, Your Music Live, is sponsored by our friends at DistroKid, and if you want to go down to the description here, you can check out the link, and you can save yourself 7% off your first year on any DistroKid plan. But there's actually something cool here. I'll show you more about this tomorrow, as well as the fact that you can now upload from a mobile device because we kind of figured it out. At least we hope we did. Hey, it worked. It's there. We've actually got a whole new refreshed layout here. So I'll be showing a little bit about this tomorrow, but you'll see here, you've got all your Get Heard stuff at the top there. You've got your music promotion stuff there. You've got your fine tuning stuff. You've got protecting your music. You got your streaming service links there. So it's actually made it easier to find all the stuff because it used to be one big list, and DistroKid have so many add-on services that now they've actually put it into one nice collection there. So I thought I'd just mention that if you are on the fence about DistroKid and you were thinking, oh, it's too hard to do all the things and I can't upload from my mobile, well, guess what? We just removed both of those excuses for you because we've cracked the uploading from mobile, and it's really, really easy to manage all your stuff in there. It's a really nicely designed website. So good job, DistroKid, for doing that. I had a couple of other things I was going to go through. Talked about the gear guide, the podcast. So Home Studio Q&A is also an audio podcast, not this show, but the other Q&A show. And I hadn't updated it for a long time. I'm in the process of, I've added like 4 episodes, and I got the last 2 to add after this show. So if you've been wondering, where the heck is the audio version of Home Studio Q&A, Pete? I like to listen on the train or on the bus or wherever. Then it's coming, and I apologize. It was just my slackness and laziness that meant it hadn't been there yet. And do check out there's a couple of things you want to check out. Check out the live show that I did with Mike over at Creative Source yesterday. We talked about that at the start of the show, but that was really good. And it actually had Ed Thorne and Marlon from White Noise Studio on there as well. So again, if we go to Creative Source, saucy, Creative Source, yeah, do go and check out Mike, because look what an attractive man he is. Super attractive man. So go and check out Creative Source and follow him. He's got a bunch of very cool videos, as you can see there, about all sorts of audio topics. And you can check out that latest video where myself and the other gents were on there having a chat as well. Oh, we're going to finish up before I turn into a pumpkin, yeah? I'm going to have to do that. There you go. There's the affiliate link to distrokid.com/VIP/Pete Johns, if that is going to help you out. That is going to do it here for today because, yeah, my voice is starting to go. We were going to go to 2 hours, but I reckon we've got as many questions as I can get answered in one show. So I'm going to go and have those ramen noodles for lunch that I was talking about. And the other thing I have to do is get ready because, once again, tomorrow, Your Music Live. Do join us live because we'll be showcasing some of the best sounds, some of the best independent artists going around. So do join me for Your Music Live here on the channel. And if you're not on the mailing list, the weekly newsletter just came out. So get yourself on there, studiolivetoday.com/email. You'll get updated when all the live shows are happening, or follow me on the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and everywhere else. My final question, which I want you to put in the comment after this show, and there's a poll actually over, is if you could do one thing and it was either record music or play live music, you can only do one or the other for the rest of your life, what would it be? I'm going to leave you with that thought. Feel free to put it in the chat here now, but I'm going to get going. put that in the comment there. Like, make a comment on this video and let me know, because I think that would be interesting. I'll throw it down in the description here right now. But if you could only do one thing, if you could only ever record music in your home studio, or if you could only ever play out live, which would it be? Tough one, isn't it? I don't know what mine would be. Probably record, because I'm an introvert and I don't play much live at the moment. All right, that's going to do it here. I will see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Please be kind to yourselves. Remember to fit your oxygen mask before helping others, including children, and be kind to others. Thanks for being here. Rock on. I'll see you real soon. Bye.